So at the moment I'm just cutting the right angle for these two bits of wood that go onto my windowsill. So I've just put the whole thing on the floor inside my house to get a nice flat area, and I've got it all sort of laid out with my window, my sill, all my bits of wood to make sure that I've got the bits straight. And I realized that this one needs to be cut up here just a little bit across this edge, and this one just needs about 1 mil or 2 along this whole edge here to drop this down a little bit. So that's what I'm going to currently do. I just bought myself a jigsaw, so hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to attempt to cut that now. So I've got my windowsill, window, all the different bits. So I'm just trying to get this section, and I've just lined it up where I know it's got to go along this line coming up here, and you can sort of see that it's pretty close, except there's a little bit of a gap up here and a little bit of a gap there. So it's this sort of front edge which I just need to shave off. So I'm going to do that, and on this side it's way off. You know, you've got a massive gap there. So to fix that, I've just put this to the side of it like so, go on until this edge meets, and then drawn a line, which you can see there. So now I'm trying to build a window frame to be square, and I'm having trouble because all of the bits of wood I'm using don't have straight edges. They've all a little bit off by a couple of mils here or there. So, you know, do I take off the window? Do I take it off the bits of wood that I'm going to be using? You know, also when I was doing the window sill, I think that this little bit of edge is a little bit higher than this edge. So these two angles had to be different type thing. They couldn't be exactly the same. So a lot of frigging around because I don't have, you know, square machines. I'm doing it all by freehand type thing. So it's not going to be exactly perfect, but doing the best with what I've got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together the window frame square and then adapt the window sash the best I can to it, because the window sash is softwood, so it's a lot easier to mold and change easily, more than all of this hardwood. And if there is any gaps or little things like that, I'm going to have blockers and air strips to block any air coming out of that window, so it'll seal it up that way, but it won't be 100% flush, square, flat, but that's the best I can do. So now I've just got a few of these super small nails. Now these ones are a little bit rusty, but that's all right, they'll hold. And I'm just going to put them in through here into here, like so. Square, get the mark. Well, I got it in, but it didn't go too well. It split, as you can see there. I just didn't drill it enough, I guess. Far enough down, I guess, didn't drill in enough. So I got to that point and just split it. That's a bummer. So now what I'm gonna probably try and do is just get a chisel and just chisel that down flat. And now the moment of truth is to put the window back in and see if it all fits. If it doesn't, I'm gonna have to modify the window. So right now we've sort of done as much as we can with the other window. So I'm going to start on the next window, which is also going to be in the bathroom. This window is a little bit different. It's going to be standing up like so, and it's going to swing out like that. So that's the way that's going to move. It's got these hinges here, which I'll put on, which are friction hinges. And usually these type of hinges have it like this and they move out that way. But I'm going to have this standing up and it's going to move out that way. So the first thing to do is create the frame. So you can see my other frame, which I've got the windowsill, got the square done up. And so now I'll prepare the next bit. So I've picked out the bit of wood that I want to use. So you can see how nice it looks. It's all wet, but that's how it'll look like when it's done. So first up, we're going to cut out these cracks here. So I'm going to come back to about here, chop it off to make sure that these cracks don't come in. Then I'm going to measure exactly what I need for the first side, and then the top, and then the second side, so that when you look at the window frame, when you look up like this one, you look up, look it across, and look down, you'll see that the grain continues on. This one's ready, this one's ready. So back to these ones which I left last week. Bought myself a chisel, Trojan, but it's big enough or small enough to fit in this gap. So I'm just going to chisel this bit out and this bit here. I've chiseled out these two bad boys and they're fitting in there. Alright, so what we're doing now is putting on the hinges to the window. So first thing to do to make it flush is chisel out these sections for the window. Alright, so I've just turned the frame upside down and then laid the window down that way so that I can access these holes to put them in. The top nailed down, the bottom nailed down. I've got the friction hinges screwed onto the sash. So now the next step is to screw it onto the actual frame. Well, that's that window in. Looking good. So next step is this window here into that spot up there. Success. And open.